Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another jam-packed daily market update, getting you ready for the week that we've got ahead of us. And actually, we're going to start things off with some news that's really flown under the radar. The European System Risk Board is confirming the embrace of the cryptocurrency space by the European Central Bank and the sort of market infrastructure that is throughout Europe. They are literally seeing, like other nations and jurisdictions, the embrace of crypto as a matter of urgency and importance. And we knew this day would come. We now have them saying what's been the quiet part out loud at this point. Then I want to take us over to what David Solomon over at Goldman Sachs has to say about the economy. He's expecting a potential drawdown in the next 12 to 24 months. Very broad time horizon there, but we don't think that really throws out anything in regards to what we've said. Mike Wilson from Morgan Stanley, not Goldman Sachs, ultimately we think he's right in the sense that he believes a new bull is at hand for markets broadly, and that's going to provide the backdrop for a very bullish cryptocurrency market as the beta of it. We'll also look at what Goldman are saying in regards to Nvidia Corp and how they're raising their price target. Again, it kind of shows that they don't think that crash is imminent, but he also importantly says it's an extremely exciting time with all these new technologies, not just talking about AI, but crypto as well, to be in the markets. And markets are obviously optimistic and looking forward. And then we've got a report from Morgan Stanley talking about asset allocation considerations for cryptocurrencies. This came out on the 1st of October. I haven't really seen anyone cover it. And I will remind people in regards to what Larry Fink said to his letter to investors. Of course, he talks about tokenization, he talks about Bitcoin versus the dollar. Huge things were said. He also talks about this shift in portfolio management. The meta has been 60-40, 60% equities, 40% bonds, because you kind of hedge your bets there in regards to downside with the bond market, which has historically been the case, perhaps not now. That correlation hasn't really worked recently, and I think that reflects perhaps a broader shift in the global monetary order. I think gold signals that. I think what we're expecting for silver, people talk about $1 million Bitcoin. I always ask, well, what's the context of the world for that? But he spoke about moving from 60-40 to, I think it was 50-30-20. And what's that 20? Well, crypto is increasingly getting added to it. And this is the real value proposition here, is not only is this technology still to be entirely adopted and embraced, which we know it's going to, also from an asset point of view, it's right at the start of that journey. In regards to even being able to be bought by institutions. And to finish things off, we will look at CoinShares' fund flows. So, as promised, let's kick things off with the European System Risk Board and the fact that they're confirming crypto is being embraced by the likes of the ECB, which we know is the case. We've looked at lots of clips of Christine Lagarde talking about this. Let's dive into this.
Moreover, the shifting geopolitical landscape has resulted in higher defense spending needs in Europe, which could put pressure on member state budgets. We are also witnessing rapid technological developments, including in AI and crypto assets, showing significant opportunities to boost European competitiveness and modernize our financial market infrastructure, while also adding a new layer of complexity as well as new risks.
Intriguing. It's not just America, and Paul Atkins has signaled this, that's going to embrace this technology. It's the world at large, and we're right at the start of that journey, which makes me certainly very bullish. I hope it makes you guys just as bullish as, of course, I am. I want to now dive over to, and not only technically is this being embraced, we will look in just a second at what Morgan Stanley is saying in regards to crypto allocation. They're now sort of advocating for it. But before we get onto that, I do want to cover what Goldman Sachs' CEO David Solomon has to say in regards to the markets. He puts a kind of broad take. And we'll review that. We'll look at that through the lens of what we're expecting for the S&P and also talk about their Nvidia price prediction. Let's dive into this.
I'm not going to bed every night worried about what will happen next, but markets run in cycles, and whenever we've historically had a significant acceleration in a new technology that creates a lot of capital formation and therefore lots of interesting new companies around it, you generally see the market run ahead of the potential because they're going to be winners and losers. They're going to be winners and losers. If you go back and you think about the internet, pick on Amazon. Amazon was one of many companies that was prosecuting that kind of opportunity. Many of the companies went away. Amazon became an incredible company. You're going to see a similar phenomenon here. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 12 to 24 months we see a drawdown with respect to equity markets, but that shouldn't be surprising given the run we've had. But generally speaking, I think what's super exciting is the technology is expanding, new companies are being formed, and the potential of this technology deployed into the enterprise can be very, very powerful. And so it's an exciting time in the market. The market looks forward.
So I actually came across that video. Somebody put quite a bearish outlook. They're basically saying that he thinks the market's going to crash and that it's overvalued. Actually, I didn't get that from what he said there. I think he thinks, yes, pull downs occur and markets do move in cycles. And he said it wouldn't surprise him if we saw that. But he also speaks about being extremely optimistic in regards to the technological unlock that's taking place. Technologies often cause economic booms. And I think crypto and AI is going to do exactly that. And they go hand in hand. And of course, our projection for the S&P 500 is that we're now in a new bull market following the bear market that we had, which was on the back end of Trump's tariffs, 21% correction. Every time you've engulfed a 21% correction for the S&P 500, meaning you've gone and put in a new high post it, you've actually rallied for the minimum period was, how many days was it? Just shy of 400 days or 400 days. That'll take us right into next year. That is very much what we're expecting. That's a very bullish backdrop, and even Bitcoin dominance would confirm that for the space as a whole, or the cryptocurrency space, certainly. Also, this is from Goldman. They are upping their 12-month price target to $210 for Nvidia. We've not looked at Nvidia in a little while. Actually, lots. I mean, this has been a great chart for us. But we're not here to talk about that. I think the last thing we looked at for Nvidia was this falling wedge that, of course, you broke out of. $210 is still significantly higher for Nvidia. What are you talking? 210. You're talking and this makes up quite a bit of the S&P 500, 15% gain that they're looking at. I think they're potentially undershooting that. Everyone thinks the stock market's overvalued. Well, it's not really in relation to the money supply. But very interesting, certainly given the fact that we just heard from Goldman there, from their CEO, and him sort of expressing his excitement for markets. Now, this is from Morgan Stanley. And this is asset allocation considerations for crypto. This came out this month on the 1st of October. It talks about crypto has attracted a significant attention in recent years, giving its outsized returns, evaluated volatility, growth to $4 trillion in market capitalization, and increased support from Trump administration and Congress. It essentially, in the next page or later on, actually talks about conclusion, taking a conservative approach to cryptocurrency allocation. And it says, we aim to support our financial advisors and clients who may flexibly allocate to crypto as part of their multi-asset portfolios. Now, we are yet to see the real capital that's going to be allocated to crypto come in by the likes of these. But the fact that they're highlighting this now, you can see here, this is GIC's recommendations for maximum crypto allocation in multi-asset portfolios. GIC actually guides, I think it's about 16,000 advisors managing $2 trillion in savings and wealth clients. They're talking about potentially allocations of up to 4%. And it's interesting because if we go over to Larry Fink's letter to investors, and this is something that's always stuck with me since I read this, they talk about the kind of divergence from the 60-40 to 50-30-20, and this kind of move away from traditional sort of what's traditionally stood, and I think that also signifies a shift in the monetary system through actually treasuries losing ground to other assets, potentially crypto. And that's going to be a part of this new 20. And we've really yet to see that in any kind of big, meaningful, impactful way. And talking about fund flows, we do like to look at CoinShares Digital Asset Fund Flows report. Digital asset flows or inflows surged to a record month high amid Ethereum-led rally. Digital asset investment products saw 1.9 billion in inflows last week, bringing month-to-date inflows to 11.2 billion. Ethereum attracted 1.5 in inflows, its second largest week ever, with year-to-date flows surpassing 2024's total. While Solana and XRP saw strong inflows, Bitcoin recorded minor outflows, highlighting potential ETF anticipation rather than a broad alt season. Or are we now in alt season? Certainly we think that based on what we're looking at for BTC DOM. That we now think is in phase 4 and think we've got all the technical merit for that. You know, your crypto market cap's also on the cusp, has now or is about to break into price discovery. This is a big deal. And talking about Ethereum, I mean, the stage is set. How anybody can really put forward a bearish bias here is beyond me. This was just a retest of this grind line that you broke out of, your capping support, resistance line. You could be setting a bit of a cup and handle here. You know, we've got some insane targets for Ethereum that may want to get reached. How anybody can be bearish right now in the cryptocurrency space is honestly beyond me. Markets do have cycles. It's important to sort of reiterate what David Solomon's saying there. You are going to get corrections. Hopefully we can alert you to them when they come. You know, I do plan on selling some of my crypto at some point, and of course, you know, we'll keep everyone as up to date on all that as we possibly can. But ladies and gents, that's really it from me. The stage is set. Technically, fundamentally, macroeconomically, bullish. We're bullish. We don't see any reason to be bearish, and that's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you take part in the wealth transfer that's going to come on the back end of all of this. That's it from me. I'll see you tomorrow.